in the heart of Central Oklahoma. It's the Best of the Outdoors podcast, brought to you by Texas Fishing Game Magazine, the voice of the Texas Outdoor Nation. I'm your humble host, Dustin Vaughn Warnke, the Outdoor Success Guy, back with another podcast this week, and I'm so excited to be joining you guys again because I am hunting right now, not right at this second, but I'm hunting with my son, my dad, and myself in Central Oklahoma, my dad's ranch, way out in the country in Central Oklahoma, and haven't seen much this week yet, but it's been a good week to spend time with three generations of Warnkes and just get out there and get things done and just enjoy the outdoors. And it is Thanksgiving Day that I'm recording this. I have to release these to the publisher of the week before they actually air, so I'll be back in Texas by the time this one goes live, but I just wanted to get this one out to you because I've got a great message to share with you this week, and just so much fun in the outdoors that we're having, and I just hope you're having a great hunting season if you hunt, a great fishing season if you're fishing, fall fishing and winter fishing. This is just a great time to be outdoors, guys. It's just a fantastic, phenomenal time to enjoy all of God's creation and just commune with nature, commune with God, whatever you do in the outdoors. This is just an awesome time to do it. So thank you guys so much again for watching, reading, and listening. First of all, before we get to today's podcast, I've got some really exciting things that I'm going to talk about with a couple of different guests. We kind of have various guests, kind of like CDs used to be back in the day, with various artists. We have various guests on the shows. There's too many to list, but I'm going to go through them all here in this podcast. And basically, we're going to visit the where I was last week, which was the Confluence Riders event. The Confluence Riders event takes place in southeast Louisiana this year, and it is just a bunch of Texas magazines and Louisiana magazines. Louisiana Sportsman gets together there. Texas Outdoor, or not Texas. Texas Saltwater Fishing Magazine, and also Lone Star Outdoor News. All of us were there. All the different outdoor titles from the region of Texas and Louisiana were there, learning about all kinds of different products and fishing with products. We had a great week of fishing. The weather was kind of awful. We went out 2 days. Didn't really even get any lines wet the first day, but the second day we got into the reds pretty good. They were stacking up on the marsh, and we were nailing the reds pretty well, and I limited out. I had one throwback, and I did the best on my boat. The funny thing is, I was fishing with Bubba Blade, and last year I was fishing with Pete from Bubba Blade and from BTI and American Outdoor Brands, and he smoked me when it came to fishing right next to him. He was catching all the fish, I was catching none of the fish. This time it was Josh Neville, and Pete Kirscher was on another boat, and Josh Neville and I were fishing, and I beat him on fishing, so it was pretty funny. But Bubba Blade is coming out with an electric knife, which is really cool, and I'm going to talk about that on this show. We're going to have Pete and Dave and a couple of other guys on the podcast today to just talk about different brands in the outdoors and just how this helps you be a better outdoorsman. That's always my goal in these podcasts that I do, is how this helps you be a better outdoorsman, how these products can help you do what you do better in the outdoors. And that's always my goal for this show, to help you be the best outdoorsman or outdoorswoman that you can be, and just do well in the outdoors and be successful. And that's why they call me the Outdoor Success Guy, because I'm all about helping people be successful in the outdoors. So that's kind of my thing. Before we do that, I want to talk about our sponsor of this show. That is AccuSharp Knife Sharpeners, and they also have a whole line of other things that they do. AccuSharp is just a great company, and if you've ever had the problem of you don't want to carry heavy stones with you when you're hunting, you don't want to, you're worried about getting the exact angle on your blade in the field while you do something, in the field where you're sharpening your knife, that's something you just don't have time for. AccuSharp is a solution for that. And my personal testimonial is my dad, at his ranch here in Oklahoma, bought me my first AccuSharp knife sharpener. It was a blue and white one. They still make the same AccuSharp sharpener today. And I have used that knife sharpener for well over 10 years, and I've just had a fantastic opportunity to showcase it to other people, show how easy it is to use. Sorry, I'm getting a little tongue-tied here. Easy it is to use in the field, and just a fantastic opportunity. So, this sucker has been featured on Life Below Zero, Swamp People. Even Ted Nugent wrote about it in his book. I run my AccuSharp blade sharpener over my small outdoor edge fillet knife, and all I can say is stand back. That's what Ted Nugent says. You do not need to have an expensive knives to cut like a pro. Dull knives are dangerous and frustrating, but that can easily be fixed in seconds with the AccuSharp knife sharpener. You get your money's worth. Longevity of your sharpener can last 3 to 5 years. Mine's lasted a lot longer than that. The tungsten blades are reversible and replaceable. AccuSharp helps you avoid failure. AccuSharp eliminates the guesswork on using stones. That ends in success. I sharpen my blades in seconds on my boat or in the field with AccuSharp. And this is a super easy to find sharpener. You can find it at all Academy stores just about, or buy it online at academy.com or AccuSharp.com. Check out AccuSharp sharpeners. Awesome, awesome product. Especially when you are using your knives to gut or field dress, I guess is the right way to say it, or skin your deer. You want to have a good sharp knife for doing that chore. You want to absolutely have a absolutely sharp knife when you're filleting your fish. I filleted a wide variety of fish at this Confluence Riders event that I did. And having a good knife sharpener is just all there is to it, man. I mean, just having a great combination of a good knife and a good sharpener in the field and on the water is just where to be. So check these guys out at AccuSharp.com or find them in your local Academy Sports and Outdoors sporting goods store. All right, back with some more podcasts with you, and I'm kind of doing this as a mashup, if you will. First guys we're going to have up is Pete Kirschker and David White, I should say, with Arctic Ice and Bubba Blade, or respectively with Bubba Blade and Arctic Ice. And basically we're talking about some awesome things in the outdoors, how to use ice packs to keep your stuff cool and dry, and how to use knives like from Bubba Blade to basically keep your edge in the field, if you will, like I was just saying about AccuSharp, to keep your game strong when you're filleting those fish. I also work great on wild game. I use my Bubba Blade when I cut the Christmas ham, when I'm cutting the wild pork shoulder or whatever the case may be. I use it in the kitchen quite a bit. It's not just only in the field. It's rust resistant. It's a great knife. So here's our first interview with Dave White and Pete Kirschker. Thanks so much for listening. I've got
Pete Kirschker from American Outdoor Brands representing Bubba Blade here today.
And
David White with Arctic Ice representing Arctic Ice.
There you go. And I wanted to have you two on first because I'm a big fan of both of y'all's products. I use them every time I'm out in the field. They kind of go hand in hand too, which is the other thing I thought was interesting, because if you think about, you need a knife to cut fish, you got to cool your fish down. You got to keep your fish cold. You got to keep, And the nice thing, just to Arctic Ice's point for a minute, is that the thing that I've noticed about that product is that it keeps things dry and there's no mess.
Exactly. Yep. That was kind of the whole point. I mean, being able to control and have different temperatures in your cooler is kind of interesting.
Yes.
And if you want to keep something frozen, that's great. We can do that. But being able to keep meat dry or fish dry and not have a big sloshy mess of bacterial-laden ice soup or cooler soup that your fish or your meat's hanging out in. Arctic Ice can do that and keep a relatively dry way to keep everything cold without making a sloppy mess.
That's good. That's really good. And you've got the Tundra series, which is keeping things frozen. You have
Absolutely.
the Arctic Alaskan series for keeping things cool, and then
Right.
the Chill and Brew, especially for beer and other.
Especially for beer, but everybody likes the Chill and Brew. It's colder. This is America.
Right.
We're gonna do it colder.
Our audience knows a lot about the Arctic Ice. You listen to the past podcasts, because I've been a big fan of that for years, and I guess it's been over a year now.
Yeah,
so I guess you can call it years. But we did a special program at fishgame.com, and I'll put the link to that in the description of the show notes, and that's great. So Pete,
Yes, sir.
Bubba Blade, a lot of new things happening.
Yeah, a lot of new things happening with Bubba Blade. Coming this next year, 2019, February 19. I'm excited for everybody to see our new look. So I can't, my marketing guys will get mad at me if I divulge too much information here, but we've got a new fresh look coming, and not only do we have a new look, but we've got a whole expanded line that's coming out with new product that we are super, super excited to share with everybody.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
First and foremost, sticking with the blades, we've got an electric fillet knife coming out. First, we're going to come out with a 110 volt plug in. And that's going to come with 4 blades. You're going to know it's a Bubba Blade because it's going to come with that same red non-slip grip that everyone seems to know Bubba Blade by. So
right.
We're keeping that same look, and that's kind of when we took Bubba Blade over from the previous owner, or should I say when it was purchased. He did a really good job getting that out there, and there's plenty of companies trying to mimic what we're doing out there, but we own that red, and as far as the grip goes, there is nobody else out there. They can replicate it, but it doesn't look the same and it doesn't feel the same as ours.
Well, one of the things I wanted to make the point about, because I'm a big fan of the Bubba Blade, but what the previous owner did was kind of create a cult following. Would that be accurate to say that?
It's very accurate.
I don't want to say cult in like a bad way. I just mean cult as in it was like a diehards use nothing but Bubba Blades, and I became one of those.
Yeah.
I stopped using my electric knife even because the Bubba Blade did such a good job for me.
Yeah. It was a cult, but it was a saltwater cult following.
Yeah, saltwater. That's what I mean.
Yeah. And so what we're trying to do also is expand. We've came out with 2 new items this past year: a 6-inch Whiffy and an 8-inch Whiffy. Essentially, it's just a super flex knife. So it's going to have a super aggressive thin taper on it, and it's going to be the most flex that we offer within our knives. And that was kind of geared more towards the freshwater. You get up into the Great Lakes region and you pull out a big fat 9-inch flex knife, and what would you use that for? They're not going to use that. So kind of stemming off of the 7-inch tapered, which is kind of the flagship when you think of a fillet knife. You picture that silhouette.
Right.
And so we kind of took a similar silhouette but added a more aggressive taper and more flex to it to try and really reach that freshwater market that's
cool.
out there.
Because I saw one of the pro staff guides, and this kind of leads back into you again, Dave, is one of the freshwater guides that I saw on one of the videos. I don't know if this is before or after the BTI acquisition, but he was just showing how easy it is to fillet a crappie just by pushing and pulling, in a couple of strokes and flipping over and doing that. And he taught me a lot about how to fillet fish, because I was just like, well, I know how to fillet fish really well, but the ease that he did it with the Bubba Blade was just like, that's that. I've been working too hard at this.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, and that's that titanium coating that we put on
Right.
the blade as well, that doesn't allow the fish to gum up on it or stick to it.
I didn't know that was titanium. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's
It's a tinitride, so it's a tinitride coating.
Is that what holds the edge on the blade?
It does help hold the edge, but really it's just the high carbon stainless steel that's underneath that's going to keep the edge.
All right, that's cool. David, back to you. The Arctic ice. The one thing that you taught me through the series that we did, the Staying Cool and Outdoor Adventures, was how to pack an ice chest.
All right.
And that's something that I will carry with me for the rest of my life, that has been invaluable to me, because the thing I always wonder about, well, why is my ice melting, and why is my Arctic ice not staying cool longer, and that kind of stuff. If you don't fill up your ice chest, and you can keep ice longer, you can do a lot of different things with the Arctic ice, but if you don't fill up your ice chest, and at least oxygen is kind of your enemy as far as airflow, that's what I mean, oxygen. It's just one of those things that you kind of enlightened me, I guess.
Right.
I really thought I knew everything about coolers, but then you came along. So.
Well, you start thinking about, and you don't think about this, because all we think about, we're going to throw some ice, we're going to throw our drinks in the cooler,
right.
food in the cooler, we're going to throw ice in there, we're good to go, whatever. But as we start kind of extending our trips and trying to get our ice chest to last longer and keep drinks or food, whatever, longer, there's some real science behind it. Not anything, no rocket science, but
right.
just a little science about it. You think about it, everyone knows that heat rises. The ceiling is going to be warmer than the floor, right? Mm-hmm. Same thing with the cooler. The top of the cooler is always warmer than the bottom of the cooler. If there's air in there, it's going to be warmer air. That warmer air is going to melt the ice that's just below it.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden you've got this mess. If you fill that up with cold goods, whatever it is, if you've got ice packs in the bottom, your food, your sodas, your drinks, your beers, whatever, and then you put ice on top, you're filling up most of that space with cold things, right? So, and you don't have that hot air. I didn't realize this. I had a guy we were speaking with about heat transfer and whatnot. He's a PhD that works with actually a medical company that does a lot of PCM, and actually they make a lot of boxes that are insulated, and they do a lot of high specialty shipping. But anyway, the whole point was, he said, do you know where most of the heat comes in your cooler? I was like, no idea. I said, when you open the lid, he goes, nope. Most of the heat rises up through the ground into the bottom of the cooler.
Oh, yeah.
And he said that's where your heat comes from. He said so. And I said, well, why wouldn't it when you open it? He said, well, it comes in some there. He said, but when you have a solid like the bottom of a cooler touching the ground, which is a solid,
right?
Heat transfer, just like air, just like sound, anything else, heat transfers more quickly. Energy transfers more quickly through a solid than it does a liquid or through air. He said, so you get that combination of the cooler sitting on the ground is hotter than the air, the heat rises up through the cooler, and then you wind up with hot air in the cooler, especially if it's not completely full,
right?
And you melt all your ice quickly. So there's some science to it. If you're going to fill up a cooler, make sure your cooler is cold. I mean, if you're going to go on a long trip or you want to try to keep it over the weekend,
Start it off cold.
Yeah, put some. I would freeze before I came into a plethora, as my wife says, of ice packs. I would take milk jugs and I'd freeze them and drop them in there, and you cool it down overnight. Then you load your cooler the next morning when you're getting ready to go. And I always put ice packs on the bottom.
Bring it in from the garage or whatever.
Exactly.
I was going to say that.
Put ice packs on the bottom. Put all your food in. Ice packs on top. You're good to go for a much longer period of time than if you would have drugged that thing out of the back of your truck at 100 degrees in the afternoon.
Right.
And try to fill it up with things and keep them cold. So it's just a science of heat transfer. It has nothing. I mean, it's really not rocket science. It's hot, and you got to get that hot out before you can keep things cold. So it's really about, if you put ice in there, it's going to melt the ice. That's the heat transfer process.
So get it up off of the ground or like your tailgate, something. Just wherever.
Take a couple of bricks.
Bricks, okay.
Set your cooler on a couple of bricks.
That.
Let some airflow. If you're going to, especially if you're going to be gone for multiple days, set it on a couple of rocks, a couple of sticks, whatever. Let some airflow go under. If you're going to be in a boat, one of the things a lot of people do, they'll take a towel. Get a towel wet, throw the towel on top of it.
On top of it?
Yep. And what happens is you get that evaporative effect. So as water evaporates, it cools. So you're going to have a much cooler temperature right on top of the cooler.
Cooler.
Exactly. Cooler, so to speak. Exactly. Yeah. So I mean, there's a few things you can do. Obviously, keep it in the shade. That's a great way to do it. And try to stay out of it. If you're on a fishing trip and you're drinking a lot of waters, that's impossible. But I mean, stay out of it as long as possible. Some guys on long 2-week trips, they won't open a cooler until day 8. Like they know that our food in there we can't use until day 8. So they'll leave that completely closed. Won't touch it. It's just closed up. So
no, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Pete, back to you. The electric knife.
Yeah.
The one thing that I've been, and I know this is kind of hush-hush still, but we're talking about it now because this is the best of the outdoors.
Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah, the cat's out of the bag. So the handle's great. The cord is nice and thick. It's a heavy gauge cord.
Yep.
It's 8 feet, you said?
Yeah. Yep. And so I was saying that we have engineers in-house over at American Outdoor Brands, and this comes from our Battenfeld Technologies office, and they're known for some, like I said earlier, some pretty new, intuitive, more so on the Caldwell shooting sled sides and things like that. And so we've been able to take advantage of them, and they spared nothing really working on this thing, and they really thought of everything from having that longer, thicker cord, because sometimes when you come in on the dock, there's not an optimal place to plug in all the time, and so you need to have that space, you need to have that long
room. Right.
Yep, exactly. And then all the way to, like we said, the motor. It does have the most torque out there right now than it will when it comes out than anything out there. And then along with that, all the way to the blades, you're going to have 4 options of blades when you get it. So you will have that thin style blade, which is going to offer more flex. And that will come in a 7-inch and a 9-inch. Shark is kind of the style blade that they call it, because it kind of does have that look of a shark. And then it will also have a normal taper blade, that will not offer as much flex, and it will be a little bit thicker to get through some of those bigger fish that you're trying to get through. And then all the way up to that 10-inch blade, which everyone's not going to use that, but if you're in Southern California, if you're in the Carolinas, you're catching bigger fish, you're going to want to take advantage of that blade.
Well, and the one thing that I haven't talked about this on the show before, but the one thing that I was really, really big about with another brand was the shark blade. They kind of originated the shark blade, and I was really, amazed at, because there's less friction, because there's less kind of going back and forth, that I could cut through bone better, and I could basically, grind down and basically get the fact that y'all brought that design over is just a game changer for me, because I've been looking for a knife that you could buy once and don't have to buy 5 other ones for the rest of 5 more years. There's a lot of bad ones on the market, not bad ones, but they're just not durable to keep up with me.
Sure.
Because when I clean fish, I like to do 100 at a time. When we do this fishing ministry events and stuff, so I play the game to win when it comes to this stuff.
Sure.
And yeah.
Well, and something they thought of, the engineers, with the bigger blades, nobody else has it out there, is when you look at blades, so you essentially you're putting 2 blades together, and
Right.
they're going back and forth,
Right.
and they're serrated, and that's what's cutting. This has a dual rivet system, so the rivet is kind of what holds it together up on the front.
Yes.
And now we put rivets in the back as well, so you're not going to get that gunk buildup, because what happens near the base of the blade is it starts to separate, and the meat starts to get up in there, scale starts to get up in there, it gunks it, it slows it down. So not only will it not gunk up and slow it down, but because it's got 2 dual action rivets, it's actually going to go better. It's going to slide back and forth better, and it's going to hold it all on that one plane,
Right.
rather than having it come out and be out of whack.
That was going to be my other point, is that having a rear rivet, and what we're talking about is a front rivet where the 2 blades joined with each other and basically reciprocate with each other. But having a rear one basically keeps it aligned, because how many times, I don't know about you guys, but how many times have you been cleaning fish and the blade comes out, or the blade comes separated? It's the biggest pain in the butt when you're like, ready, let's go do this. Come on, let's go, grind out and clean some fish, and then your blades don't work right, and or your one blade does not work at another knife. I run into that all the time. That's why I bring all my own stuff, because I don't trust anybody else's stuff is going to work with mine, So, but that thing's a beast, man. I mean, that's the best of all the electric knife work that I've ever seen done into one, So.
And to your point, you bring everything you need. We are providing you with a case as well, EVA molded case. It's got the patent, red texture out on the outside to show that it's Bubba, but it allows you to carry all 4 blades in there, and then you can even rip all of it out. So at the end, when you come in from a trip, you can actually just spray the whole thing out with your hose and then put everything back in there to clean it all out.
Right, that's awesome. The blades are stainless steel?
The blades, yes. Yes, so you've got the titanium coating over them as well.
Sure.
With the high carbon stainless steel.
So they're gonna keep they're gonna keep sharp for a longer
Yes,
time.
they're gonna keep sharp.
And together better and all that other stuff. That's fantastic. Wow. I've thought of everything that I wanted to have in a knife.
They do. They think
Will I know it comes with 4 blades. Are those blades replaceable, or they can be sold as accessories?
Will, yes. Yep, they will be. All the blade types will be sold separately as well. So if there's a few that you like, you want to throw one of them out. Like I said, nobody might ever use that 12-inch. So if you want to take that out of there, then throw another 9-inch in there, because that's
like a replacement or like a backup blade. Okay,
correct.
Cool.
So
yeah,
the
and that's
backup
smart.
blade
I mean, I just think having multiple choices, and then variety is always nice. But then having a case that's fairly outdoorsy, and they can clean up real well, because that's one of the other problems I have with fillet knives that I've used in the past. Is I actually didn't find a good case with the last fillet knife that I own. I had to use the old Academy one from Tournament's Choice or whatever brand it was back then that I zip it all up in. And it's just like, and then there's no place to really put the blades, so the blades kind of fit in there. So, and it's just, it's a haphazard mess, inside that. And then when you get everything dirty and you got slime and everything all over the actual, knife itself, the knife handle itself, it's just. Oh, and the other thing, it's got a safety on it, like a trigger safety.
It does,
and it works like a rifle, because
Correct.
the safety goes back and forth, and it has a trigger guard. Am I saying that right?
So it's almost like a double safety on it. So the first one, like you said, yes, like a rifle. It's on right where your thumb would be. So
Sure.
Push it one way, it's going to be locked. You use your index finger on the other side, push it out, and now it's unlocked. And then on top of that, it'll have a trigger guard, so when you do lay it down on a table or something like that, it's not going to go off on you.
And just run away.
And start running away. Yeah. Or cut somebody or cut yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Anybody that's been cleaning fish for a long time knows all that stuff's a possibility. But yeah, no, that's brilliant. So, anything else, guys, y'all want to add to what y'all have coming out in the market? I know there's some new things for you, Dave, but I don't think you want to talk about them yet.
Well, we know that. Let's just say this: we know that in the ice game, that bigger is better. And so, if you're out there shopping for an ice pack, obviously we want you to look at Arctic ice, but also look at the size of the ice pack. That's one of the things is that if I have a 4-pound bag of ice and you have a 5-pound bag of ice, you're going to keep your ice cold longer than mine because it's 5 pounds.
Right.
So if you're looking at similar type products, you always want to go bigger, and that's where Arctic Ice, I believe, offers a great value to all the customers out there. We have the largest ice packs on the market of all the premium brands out there, and we have a lifetime guarantee. And should there ever be a leak due to our manufacturing process, we will absolutely replace it, no questions asked. So.
Well, I mean, that's incredible, but the thing, I'm cheap at the end of the day. I'd like to say I'm cost effective at the end of the day.
No,
These things pay for themselves.
Oh, yeah.
Like the first use. I mean, seriously. And you got what, 4 or 5 sizes?
We have 4 sizes. We start at 3/4 of a pound, so basically 8 ounces, 12 ounces, and it goes up to 5 pounds. So 3/4 of a pound and a half, 2.5 pounds. And 5 pounds.
I wasn't trying to quiz you on the poundage.
Yeah, exactly. And and you know what? Keep your eyes open. You may see bigger ones. Because now that we know that bigger is better, I think that there's a potential that we might even see larger ice packs in the time to come. So
one of the things that our editor in chief Chester Moore talked about in the video that we did with the series that we did for you guys, was that. The bait that you have for offshore fishing, for Spanish mackerel, or whatever the case may be. I mean, any of that, you don't want it to get mushy if it gets unfrozen. You don't want it to get, if you use just ice can melt it and then it turns into mush and you have no bait. Arctic ice keep things clean, dry, no mess, no fuss, no.
Exactly. If you want to keep your ballyhoo frozen.
Ballyhoo, that's what
exactly. Keep your ballyhoo frozen, your sardines, whatever you're fishing.
Sardines, yeah, that was the other
offshore, those things that you're using offshore, chum. For instance, if you're like in the Keys and around Florida, people love to fish for yellowtail snapper and yellowfin tuna. Yellowtail snapper. So they love it, and I've done it several times. I should know what it is. But anyway, the whole point is you throw out a chum bag, and the chum is frozen, and so because it's frozen, it takes a while to melt. Creates a chum line. The fish come up. You drop right into it and catch them. And if at the end of the day your chum is not still frozen, you drop it out there in 5 minutes.
It all goes in one.
It goes, it's like there's no time for you to really catch a fish. So we give you some benefits in that regard to be able to go out. And
to keep things frozen. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yep.
And then your ice cream or your deer meat.
Oh, that's just a bonus.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, that's just great. Even taking your stuff to your kids' school, like I do with I had to bring ice cream to school the other day. Had it on my soft side and had the Tundra series.
Yep,
going.
It'll take care of it. Yeah, absolutely.
Just
be the coolest dad in soccer. Soccer practice, baseball practice. You gotta give them ice cream, or they're not gonna do it.
That's right. They're gonna quit.
So take them something out there. Be the cool parent. Take ice cream.
That's right. And what happens with the Tundra? I just wanted to say this last thing is that when you put the Tundras down, a couple of them in a 65 quart, for instance, put an ice bag on top of that, or loose ice and bulk around that. It freezes into one big chunk.
Right. You've created a freezer basically to keep your ice frozen.
I did an article about that. What happens with if you with ice and Arctic ice? And I mean that kind of I just kind of tested it out one day and I'm like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it'll make an ice block out of it. So be careful. Don't put your beer in there with the Tundra and ice.
I almost made that mistake. I was telling you about that earlier. I almost made that mistake where I was I packed some Tundras to keep the other ones frozen, and then I dang near had all my beer freeze.
Oh yeah, because it'll freeze into a big chunk, and you scratch your head going, well,
what did I do?
Maybe we'll have a beer tomorrow.
Maybe it was not that cold. I needed it to be that cold, but anyway.
Yeah, it could do it. So
that's hilarious. Pete, anything else?
Yeah, I just want to say, with Bubba Blade, we pride ourselves on having the most premium fillet knife out there, all the way from the handle to the blade itself. And you're going to see us expanding into the market, into some other things, and just want our customers to know that as we do come out with these things, we want to continue to be the leader in premium product.
Sure.
So we're not going to put anything out there that we don't believe is a top of the line product.
Right.
And so I'm excited for some of the things that our engineers are working on, and I think there's some pretty cool stuff to come. And like I said, starting next year, we're going to have a bit of a new look to us as Bubba Blade, and I'm excited, and I hope y'all are excited too to see what we've got coming up for you.
This is exciting. I mean, one of the things that y'all debuted today too at a writers event was a new gaff or something like that. Can I talk about that at all? Okay.
Yeah. So we are going to be getting into nets, gaffs, things of that nature. They're not quite ready yet. We've still got some finishing touches.
Sure.
But gloves. So we will be expanding. But products not finalized yet, so I can't really speak details on it just because I don't have the details.
That's fine. Again, this is the best time to be alive as an outdoorsman. I've said that on the show many times because this is kind of the golden age. We have the best products. We've weeded out all the junk. The innovations that engineers have listened to and engineered them into the products that were. I mean, things keep getting better, and I just don't even see how they can improve more, but they do. You know, I mean, it's an exciting time to be alive in the outdoors. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, and that's the key. You don't want to be a me too, and so unless you can be innovative with something, it's tough to come up with something new and just throw your brand on it, and that's not what we want to do. We want to continue to be premium, but it needs to be innovative at the same time.
Oh, for sure, absolutely, yeah. No, that's good. That's really good. Dave, anything else?
No, man, I really appreciate you taking some time with us today, Dustin.
Appreciate both of you guys being on
man.
the show.
Appreciate it.
And I just arctic-ice.com.
That's it, arctic-ice.com.
And then
Bubbablade.com.
Bubbablade.com, all one word.
Yeah.
We'll get it. All right, thank you guys so much.
All right,
Appreciate it, man.
And there they go. Those guys are great. Check them out online. Awesome guys to connect with. Next up, I've got Damon from Nomad Design and Dennis from Grundens. He's going to be the representative with Grundens that handles their a lot of their retail stores and stuff like that as a rep firm. Frontier Sales and Marketing is the one that put on this event. They did a fantastic job, and he's going to be representing them. So we've got a really good interview coming up with Damon and Dennis. Here we go. Joining me now, I have Dennis.
Dennis Bro.
Yeah. And you're representing who?
Grundens.
Okay, great. And I've got
Damon Olson, so representing Nomad Design.
A Aussie.
That's right.
And Aussie, I should say.
Yeah.
And the first one of Aussie on the actual podcast is the Best of the Outdoors. So
excellent.
Great.
Always good to be the first.
I think it's good. And I've got a few friends that listen to New Zealand and in Australia, and
cool.
So big shout out from the Down Under, I guess.
Absolutely. Big shout out to anyone listening.
You actually live in the Down Under.
I do indeed. I've come over especially for a trip this week to see Dennis and the guys and do a little fishing in the lovely Louisiana sunshine.
There's not been all sunshine, but it's been fun. So.
Don't judge us on the weather.
That's right.
No, don't worry. I won't.
For sure. All right, so give me a rundown real quick, Damon, of Nomad.
Yeah, so Nomad Design's a brand that essentially came out of our fishing charter operation in Australia. So set up a mothership fishing charter operation a long time ago, early 2000s. Short story is that was sort of a foundation for using and testing a lot of lures and tackle over the years. So basically, that operation led into the sort of manufacturing of lures. So we've got I've got sort of a 20-year history of running that operation and I guess being able to really use products to the limit. We're fishing out of Great Barrier Reef, Coral Sea, so some of the areas we're fishing pretty extreme areas. So I guess that's the blue water nature of the product range, or that initial sort of testing ground for a lot of the heavier blue water offshore products. And my history's been, I've done all sorts of fishing all over the world, and manufacturing the larger end of the range was what we started on, but obviously there's a lot of smaller products coming out for inshore saltwater as well. So, but yeah, really the brand and the idea for the lures really came from that sort of testing ground and the charter operation. A lot of the technology that we've developed was really being able to solve problems that we saw in the real world when we were fishing out there.
Right.
So, yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, so it's been an interesting journey. The things like the auto-tune system that we got on the DTX minnows to basically make the deep diving minnows swim straight and deep. So I haven't actually shown you that yet, but
I'll get you your presentation.
Yeah. So it's sort of a patented technology that we've developed to really solve a problem that was highlighted by when we're running charters. You get all these deep diving plugs and they don't swim straight, and you constantly got to tune them, and it really drives you pretty crazy from a guiding point of view.
You're just trying to catch fish.
Yeah, that's
man.
it. It's
Your
like, man,
clients are
just make it swim straight. It's not that hard. Come on. So that's really where that whole auto-tune system with the DTX minnows came from, and they've been really successful over here in the States already on the Wahoo and tuna. So that's really sort of what's got our foot in the door in the US market, and then obviously there's a whole range of smaller inshore products as well for likes of snook and redfish, tarpon, all that sort of stuff. So it's a pretty exciting range. We're pretty excited about the whole thing.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Grundens.
So, a lot of people are familiar with the brand Grundens. If you watch shows like Deadliest Catch or Wicked Tuna, I mean, we are almost a 100-year-old company. We're born in the commercial fishing industry. You'll see our orange Hercules bibs and our orange Briggs jackets on almost every single commercial fisherman you come across, whether it be in the Bering Sea or along the Gulf Coast, whether it be oyster boats or shrimp boats, or even in the boats and people catching crawfish. Excuse me. So kind of our slogan is "We are fishing." Fishing is our DNA. This is where we started 100 years ago in the hardcore offshore commercial fishing in some of the absolute worst environments on the planet.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that people ask me, like, is this going to work? When I'm bass fishing on this lake, it's like, this works for the guys in the Bering Sea dealing with 40-foot seas. So you get some questions and they're like, oh, well, you're right. Yeah, I did see that television show.
Yeah.
That is some
if it can work
stuff.
for this hardcore, it can work for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The worst possible offshore environment, the Bering Sea.
Right.
And they all wear Grundens.
Yeah.
And so, we originally started off with, hardcore into the PVC bibs, the PVC jackets. And this is stuff that can take some serious abuse, and we've kind of evolved as a company. We're never going to lose our DNA as a company that cut its teeth in the commercial industry.
Sure.
We're always going to speak to that customer, but we brought on some very, very smart people with the company, and we're kind of relaunching the brand almost and coming up with some really amazing products. We're launching our footwear. There's a lot of clothing companies out there. You go to ICAST, and if there's not 30 of them, there's not a single one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So the authenticity that Grundens has is something that no one else in that building can match. There's some really great brands in there, but no one is as authentic as Grundens. Around the world, everyone knows the brand. And so, it's really exciting to be a part of the Grundens family at this time, because, we've got some really amazing products that are launching for 2019. We've got a really amazing product, obviously, that's already out. But we're gonna change it a little bit. We've got some really cool things coming that I think is gonna get a lot of people excited, and people are gonna look at the brand a little bit differently.
Right.
Some really cool partnerships that are coming down the pipeline.
No, that's cool. The boat that I was just on with you, Damon.
Yeah.
Y'all were both wearing Grundens stuff, I believe.
Absolutely.
Bibs and bibs, overalls, and the jackets and stuff. And it's one of those things. The first time I realized I needed foul weather gear, and I needed gear it was when it was too late. It was when I was fishing at
That's when you always realize that
yeah,
it's too late.
And what I thought was I was fishing an event on Lake Conroe, and I've talked about this before on the show, but it was winter, it was December, and it was just wildly wet. I was like, oh, I'm as safe as a kitten. I'm in the middle of the boat. Well, when the waves started coming, because there were whitecaps all over the place, and the waves started coming over the bow and drenching me, I was like, this isn't fun anymore, But by then it's too late, and you're cold and miserable.
Yeah.
So having good foul weather gear for whatever nature throws at you, if you're duck hunting, if you're fishing, if you're, no matter what you're doing in the outdoors, it's vitally important to have something that's going to keep you safe and dry. Dry and warm.
Yeah. And it's a matter of life and death in some of our.
It is. Yeah.
Some of our customers,
Yeah.
So we take it very seriously.
Yeah.
That we are We are fishing,
Yeah.
and we want to make sure that our customer is is safe out there. They're safe, they're dry, they're warm, because environments like the Bering Sea it'll kill you.
Yeah,
It'll kill you. And
it
so
can.
those guys, they trust their lives. I mean, you're not going to pick gear based on, oh, it's cool, it's trendy, it's a cool color. The name is giant on the chest. That's really cool.
Right.
No, they want to pick a brand that they know they can put their life in the hands of that brand.
Oh yeah,
So-
no, that's good.
I mean,
Absolutely.
I've spent a long time guiding, and just looking at the products that you've got here, it's seriously impressive gear. It's I've never compromised on wet weather gear, because if you're out there and you're getting wet and cold, it stops being fun very, very quickly.
Sure,
And
It can turn serious.
It can. When you're out there doing it from a recreational point of view, whether it's charters, it's a whole different story to commercial fishing in the Bering Sea. But no one likes being cold and wet, and you want good quality gear that you can really feel safe and warm, and certainly the quality of that stuff it's very impressive. I haven't seen a lot of it coming from Australia, but it's really impressive stuff.
Yeah, and it's neat because even from the PVC bibs and jackets, kind of the hardcore stuff, all the way down to, we do a lot of breathable, insulated. We've got some really neat stuff that we offer in our lineup. And from your head to your toes, we have our Deck Boss boot, which we launched, relaunched again this year, and it's the traction is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, wet diamond plate, you're not slipping and sliding. And it's super safe. It's got a lot of really cool features in there, kind of like a bilge system that keeps you from standing in the water.
That's good.
So it kind of has a drain on it, so it kind of the water will sit down below below your feet. So it's a very well thought out boot, with some really smart people in the design and phase of it. So yeah, it's a fun time to be part of the brand.
No, that's good. And I mean, the point I'm going to make here is that, foul weather gear or just wet weather gear, like you're talking about, Damon, the situation is that if it can work in the harshest conditions, it's going to last you for a long time. It's going to come through for you for a long time.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a positive. It's going to be worth the investment, because that's really, when you look at any kind of outdoor product, whether it be a knife or an ice pack or cooler, whatever we've been talking about on the show. I want it I want it to work as hard as I do, number one, in the outdoors. And then number two, I want it to be worth the money.
Yeah.
Sure.
But, it's just like what we were talking about earlier with electric knives. I mean, there's some knives I bought 5 times over when I could have just spent the extra money and bought the right, what I'm talking about?
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Spend the
So,
money right.
spend the money right away. So, I mean, I can't say enough, especially where it counts the most, of having high quality gear that you pay for. I mean, once, and you can have the rest of your life.
Yeah, and you see, I mean, we're in South Louisiana, and everyone assumes that it's 75, 80, 100,
It's not
100
today.
degrees.
Not today.
It's 40.
It's freezing
It's
out
40,
there.
45 degrees
Yeah.
outside, raining with a 25 knot wind.
Right.
And right now you want that. You wish you spent that money and got the right product. Because there's too many times I hear people tell me stories of like, I had X brand out there, and just they fell apart in no time. So it's important. I mean, it's a very important decision to make.
You've got. I guess the point I'm trying to make is basically, you've got to count on your gear, no matter what happens.
Regardless, whether it's your clothes or whether it's your bait.
Yeah.
I mean, you just because you spend, you only spent $5, $10 on that trolling minnow, and it's doing all kinds of crazy stuff in the water.
Yeah.
Versus tune, like what you're talking about.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Spend the money right.
Yeah.
Get the right product that you're not going to have to regret. That
I mean, that's
do it right
always
the first time.
that's been our theory with the baits, is put the right hooks on them, just make them strong. Obviously, you can make them look pretty with great paint jobs and everything, but if you haven't got the right hooks and they fall apart, then it doesn't really work for anyone. We want to make stuff and we do make stuff that just works straight out of the box. That's always been our theory with everything from day one, that if I wouldn't use it myself in a charter situation, I'm not going to put it in the packet. So I want people to be able to pull stuff out of the box that's ready to go, and it works. So you're out there fishing, you want to make the most of your time on the water. It's the same whether it's foul weather gear or baits. You just want stuff that works properly. And I think that the key point there is, paying a little bit extra. I mean, the baits we're making aren't the bottom end of the market, not the top end of the market either.
Kind of the middle.
But just good quality for a good price, and just making stuff that works when you're out on the water. So it's not, you want to make life easy and fun when you're out there and not hard work.
And when it counts the most. And the other thing about Nomad Design I wanted to talk about is the components that go into your gear are all high quality. So it's just because every point of that matters. From the way that the lure is presented, as well as to the hooks, as well as to all that stuff.
Absolutely.
The split rings, all that stuff.
Absolutely. The split rings, the hooks, everything's tested. I mean, there's always going to be guys that use these things in an extreme situation for catching, ridiculously big fish. And
yes.
Look, if they're going to do that, you might want to upgrade the hooks, but the idea is to try and make sure that for 90% of the applications that anyone would ever use it for, they can pull it out of the box and it's going to work perfectly.
Right.
Everything's been tested. The internal weight placements of the lures to get them to sit just right in the water. I mean, that's something that myself as a lifelong fisherman, I want the thing to just be perfect, and the action's got to be just right.
Yep.
You've got to we spend a lot of time with just testing prototypes where the weights are positioned and all that sort of thing.
Right.
So it's it's really important to make sure that when someone pulls it out of the box and uses it, it does exactly what they want it to do. Like, say, whether it's wet weather gear, you don't want gear that's going to start leaking and you end up wet the first time you use it. I'm sure everyone's had that experience. It's
the
painful.
worst is when you're wet and it's underneath your clothing, and then you can't do anything about it because you don't want to take anything off because it's raining outside.
We've all been there. It's so bad.
It's awful.
I would spend any amount of money really to ensure that I'm warm and
dry. Exactly.
whenever I'm out there fishing. It is not, for
Yep.
me, like if you're out there all the time, it's not a matter of price. It's like, is this thing going to make sure I'm warm and dry?
Is this going to
That's
close
all
the
I care
deal
about.
on the outdoor elements that's affecting me?
Well, because when you're out there and you're freezing and you're wet, you're like, man, I would
There's no
pay
fun.
anything to be dry right now.
Yeah. It's not fun.
Can't put a price on warm and dry.
Warm and dry is
you
hard
can't
to
put.
do.
You just can't. If it's going to work, I'll buy it. That's
Yeah.
as far as that wet weather gear is concerned. So.
And it's always important, and I don't stress this on the show enough, but it's always important to have some wet weather gear backup, like I did on the trip today. I threw my wet weather or my foul weather gear in the truck because I was like, if we are able to fish and if things don't completely go awry with the week, then I'm gonna at least be prepared. And it's better to have it not need than need it not have it, as the old saying is going. But it's just one of those things. No matter what you do, it's better to have it and not need it kind of situation, because you never know if that weather's gonna change. I mean, in Texas, if you don't like the weather, just wait.
Yeah. And we said it too. You don't like the weather.
Louisiana.
Wait 5 minutes.
Yeah, wait 5 minutes.
Or go across the street because it's probably different over there.
It's crazy, man. It's sunny 1 minute and then it's crazy. So anyway, that's my whole point with it.
Sounds like Melbourne in Australia.
Yeah.
Same
What
sort
part
of
of
deal.
Australia are you all from?
So I'm from Brisbane, which is
Brisbane,
on the
okay.
middle of the east coast
Yeah.
there. So but a lot of the times that people think, the northern part of Australia, it's all nice and warm. But I tell you, some of the times I've been the coldest in my whole life is when I've been in these areas and not been prepared.
Right.
You'd be there in whether it's in summer or in autumn or something like that, and you get a storm comes through. And you're just freezing. You're not prepared for it. You just don't
awful,
expect that it's
yeah.
going to happen, and then you end up cold and wet, and you're just not prepared. It's it's just not worth it. So always try and have good quality gear.
Yeah, I'm just laughing because of the unexpectedness of it. You're
That's
just
what
kind of
it
like,
is.
oops, I didn't think about that.
No.
I didn't think about this being a situation. You're just kind of like,
next minute you're freezing.
What did my old manager from my previous job call a V8 moment?
Yeah.
That's what we call it. You get that. The American joke, but the V8 moment. Y'all call in Australia a crawfish zebies?
Crawfish. No, we got like crawfish, or we got yabbies.
Yabbies, that's what I mean.
Yabbies. Yabbies.
Yeah.
We got
making up
yabbies.
names
Yeah, like
for
little. They're sort of like a little thing that live on the mud flats in the salt water.
Yabbies.
So,
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
we got.
I'm fascinated with y'all's language choices. And certain
Yeah, we got like
things
freshwater, crayfish they call them.
Okay,
crawfish,
that's
freshwater
sweet.
crayfish, and then the yabbies that are like a saltwater deal that
The
live
yabbies,
live on mud flats, and you
Okay.
can kind of use them as like a little shrimp sort of bait. So
Okay, I was just curious.
very very effective.
I watch a lot of the Aussies on YouTube doing
Oh,
that
really?
thing, and I'm just like, man, that's just a wild culture.
Yeah, we've got our own slang. language. There's a lot of-
He
There's
said
a
the
lot
same
of-
thing about us.
I know. Those silly Americans, I love it. It's great.
That's all good.
All right, guys. So anything else to add? I'll give you the chance next. Jess.
No. I mean, we've got our new footwear launching March 1st. We've got some really exciting things I really can't talk about.
I know. That's cool.
But you'll see later.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just look out for big things. I mean, it's really cool to be part of this brand right now. We're kind of undergoing this new kind of rebirth and of who we are, and obviously not losing touch with our DNA.
Yep.
The commercial side, we'll never let that go. I mean, that pays all the bills, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, with some really cool things coming, and there's some really neat partnerships. It's a company who they know who to partner with at the right time.
Right.
And
strategically. I guess
very
is the best way
strategic
to say
about
it.
it, and it just neat to be part of it. That's all I can say. So just keep your eyes peeled.
That's
some
cool.
pretty exciting things coming down the pipeline.
Give me a website or what? How do people? I'll put it in the show notes, but just tell me.
Yeah, I mean, you just Google search Grundens USA.
Grundens USA, okay.
Yeah, but we're an international company, so
That's cool.
we have our own little USA, or I'm sure maybe a Grundens Aussie or something
Yeah.
like that.
I like
Hey,
it.
you.
That's it.
yeah. So
Nice.
so yeah, just check us out online, and we'll see you in the store soon.
Good deal, Damon. What do you have to say?
Yeah, look, I mean, we really only just launched in the USA in February this year. So
Wow, so it's still new.
it's really new.
That's yeah.
There's some really exciting stuff coming. I think some people who've probably seen the products so far have seen the offshore blue water products. Some of the things we're really excited about are some of the new and interesting models that we've got in the sort of inshore saltwater area. I mean, there's a huge range in the saltwater products, from the poppers, stick baits,
Sure.
offshore trolling minnows, all that sort of stuff. So the people are going to be seeing a lot more of Nomad Design in stores. We've
Right.
currently got somewhere around 150 retailers nationwide around the coast of the US already.
Oh,
so
wow,
from
that's
kind of
fantastic.
starting in February, there's been a really great level of support from the retailers.
Good.
People are loving using the products, so I guess just keep an eye out in store, and you can obviously check out the website. It's just nomadtackle.com.
Okay. Can they order on the website?
Yeah, you
Okay,
can
cool.
order on the website. There's a dealer list on there as well, so it shows
Nice.
everyone where they can find the products.
That's
and
good.
Obviously, if your local dealer hasn't got it, just hit them up and encourage them to have a look on the website and get them in stores.
Yeah, you just gotta ask.
That's
right?
it. Just
You
gotta ask.
you
Exactly.
know?
It's very easy. We've got a warehouse set up in Kentucky. We can ship anywhere around the US pretty quickly.
Cool,
So
good.
So no, keep an eye out. We've got some really exciting stuff coming, and we're just gonna continue doing what we're doing, and grow the brand in the US and really around the world. So it's a very exciting time for us as well.
It's fantastic,
Yeah,
man.
thanks.
Thank you both for coming on the show today.
Thanks for
man.
having us.
Yeah,
Appreciate
no
you
problem at all.
guys.
Thanks for your
All right.
time.
And there those guys go. I have some other interviews from this particular event, one with Okuma and one with, I believe, his name escapes me now, Ryan. Yeah, there it is, Ryan. He is a paddle sports and kayak expert of Frontier Sales and Marketing, and I have him on the podcast in a future fishing one that we do. So I've got two interviews in the can that I took at this event that I'm going to be doing later, and you can check those out. But by the way, check out Aki Sharp if you've not done so already to get your knives sharp in the field and on the water. Thank you guys so much for watching, reading, and listening. And also, I want to make sure you check out our newsletters. I say this every podcast, so those of you guys that are new to the show, you'll hear this. But those of you guys that have heard this before, if you've not done so, you've got to go do this. Texas Fish and Game, fishgame.com. You've got to go check out the Tactical and Practical newsletter, the Wildlife Wednesday newsletter, and the Thursday Texas State of the Outdoor Nation newsletter. All three of those come all 3 days of the week, Tuesday through Thursday, and they are free for you to sign up for at fishgame.com. You can basically just go on there and sign up for those newsletters in the right sidebar of fishgame.com. You just scroll down and you'll see a little section for signing up for the newsletter for our newsletter list. Our newsletter list is about 60,000 strong. So we've got a really good reach there. You'll see a lot of stories from me on fishgame.com and related in the newsletter as well. I've written a lot of stuff here lately that's been featured on there, on that newsletter, or those newsletters, I should say. And basically, you check those out. Those are Those are free for you to download, and they all have sponsors that, like Henry Firearms is one of the Henry lever action guns is one of the sponsors this week that you'll be getting this podcast, and they're just going to have some great opportunities for you to check out their fine products, and a lot of other sponsorships. We have our own books and our t-shirts and stuff like that. If you've not checked out our t-shirts, do go to fishgame.com, check out the store section that we have an online store there, and you can order a long sleeve, really nice fishing shirt that has the Texas Fishing Game logo and our name on it, and I think you'll really enjoy those in the field or on the water. I'm wearing a fishing shirt right now as we speak, as I'm recording this, and it's just a great time. So thanks a lot for bearing with me. I'm not in my regular studio this week. I'm on my mobile podcasting setup, and I have been for the last 2 weeks because I've been on the road to southeast Louisiana, Venice area, and then in central Oklahoma to see my dad and hunt with him here in Thanksgiving week, and really hope you guys all had a great Thanksgiving. We're getting ready for Christmas, all right, and so there's a lot of fun things coming down the pike there on this podcast. Like I say, I'm going to alternate a hunting and fishing show probably with every show. Do another hunting show pretty soon with Chester Moore, and that'll probably be the next podcast, and I'm just having a blast doing this, guys. So if you've not done so, please tell a friend about the show. Thank you so much for doing that. Please give us a 5-star rating on our review on iTunes, which is kind of the kingpin of podcasting, or any other place that you would like to go and check out, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, any of those places that we are heard. Please give us a 5-star rating on there. That will help other people find our show and be able to download us and listen to us all over the world. And this show is, definitely a Texas show, but we base out of Texas, but the outdoor lifestyle is really for anybody that lives anywhere in the United States. So just share this with all your friends on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or wherever you are. And I'm sure that everybody that listens, and I'm sure you'll agree with you listening, that everybody will take a lot out of this show, a lot out of this podcast to use in the field and use in the outdoors with the products I feature, with the companies I feature, with the tips and tricks and the guests that I have on, and all the different things that I talk about in the outdoors. I just love you all. So a big virtual hug to all of you guys for listening, watching, and reading. Thank you guys so much for doing so. Have an awesome day in the outdoors. We'll see you next time.